Hello and welcome back to the Direct Capital channel, and welcome to today's market update video. In this video today, I promised I'm going to share with you guys an altcoin that I'm bullish on, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm bullish on that altcoin as well. So let's dive right into today's market update piece. It's going to be quite short because not much has changed since yesterday. Now, right off the bat, what we're seeing here is that Bitcoin is actually threatening to roll over and actually break down from its range high support back into the monthly range right over here. And this is interesting because this was a possibility and scenario that I was emphasizing yesterday, how Bitcoin was showing some signs that we might see a retrace, and that's perfectly fine. My stance on a retrace in this current bull market for Bitcoin, I'm more than happy with what's going on at the moment. I'm more than open to a retrace and accumulating Bitcoin at lower prices in a confirmed uptrend. Of course, we need to bear in mind this cluster right over here. This is a cluster of price action. The context is a bit different here because this was a relief rally from a downtrend, something I was talking about yesterday. So if you'd like to see that video where I talk about that in more detail, please go ahead. This was a different context. This is a confirmed uptrend for Bitcoin. So why was I talking about downside in yesterday's video? Well, the whole thing is, so I'm going to give an example of how to think about this. Assume that you're going to a park with a friend and you want to just throw a tennis ball or whatever ball between one another. Your friend's standing a few meters away and you throw the ball into the sky, it peaks, and then it goes to your friend. So it makes this sort of arcing U shape, upside down U shape. Well, this is very much what we're seeing here with Bitcoin. Your friend is standing over here, he throws the ball, it peaks right over here, and then it goes to your friend. And it's like an upside down U shape. And this is usually the way I think about price action, where if I see this sort of rolling over price action, this is usually a sign of weakness because we're not actually seeing buyers propel price and offer that reaction to the upside. So that's a good visual to just bear in mind when thinking of price rolling over. And for the time being, this is exactly what we're seeing. But at the same time, always think about this cluster of support. Where are we seeing wicks, right? So we're seeing wicks around this area. And this is exactly where Bitcoin is at the moment. Bitcoin is currently at support. And of course, we're seeing wicks to the downside. So something to be open to. But above all else, I just want to zoom out and just look at the daily time frame. If we see a daily close within this range, then we're probably going to see further retracement within this range for Bitcoin. So all about the daily close. I don't want to focus too much on Bitcoin right now, but if you'd like me to talk about Bitcoin in a bit more detail, then please leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to make a more detailed and longer analysis for Bitcoin. Since yesterday, Ethereum is pulling back to that lower high resistance, something we were talking about yesterday that needed to happen. And if this black diagonal turns into a support, that's all good. But of course, if it doesn't, then a return to the 200 EMA could be on the cards, but let's focus one step at a time. For now, it's doing what we were expecting it to do since yesterday. It's at this lower high resistance, and that's something I want to look for it to hold as a support in the short term. But of course, this is something I was talking about in a bit more detail in yesterday's video about why investors are bullish on Ethereum. So do check that out just to get more of a context about the macro picture. Because these are just short-term fluctuations, which I'm just sharing with you guys what's going on at the moment. And Ethereum BTC is at resistance. It needs to breach this resistance to go here, and it needs to breach this resistance to go to the upside. Definitely check out my previous video where I talk about a breach of the 200 EMA being so important for Ethereum BTC because that has historically led to huge rallies to the upside. So before I reveal the altcoin that I'm bullish on, remember that this Thursday, in just a couple of days, the Bitcoin halving webinar live February 6th. 7 p.m. UTC. I'm going to be talking about the Bitcoin halving. It's a great time to be in the crypto market, and make no mistake about it, what we're seeing in altcoins right now is thanks to the Bitcoin halving. Because Bitcoin has appreciated so much, it has been able to consolidate for a bit, and that money has been able to flow into altcoins. So make no mistake about it, the Bitcoin halving is a catalyst for both Bitcoin and altcoins, and I'm going to be talking about that in the webinar this Thursday. So do reserve your spot in the link down below, reserve your spot, and I'll see you there. So without further ado, here's the altcoin that I'm bullish on. in this cycle and really any cycle, and that's the whole beauty behind Litecoin BTC. I'm bullish on Litecoin BTC because it has a beautiful cyclicity to it, and I'm going to explain the cyclicity to you and break it down so that you understand what I'm talking about. Right over here, if we consider this blue range right over here, we have to think of this as an accumulation zone. Every time Litecoin has reached this zone, it has rallied to the upside. And this is the cyclicity that I'm talking about. It goes to the blue zone, then it rallies to the upside. It goes to the blue zone, then it rallies to the upside. And then it goes to the blue zone, and then, to be continued. But what I expect is that we're probably going to see upside from Litecoin BTC because it's a cyclical coin. We have the same sort of market psychology operating within this coin, that we just tend to see reversals from this blue zone right over here, and then we see rallies to the upside. And whatever the case may be for Litecoin, whatever rally we've seen so far, it has always gone to at least this level right over here. Of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, but we have to bear in mind that this cyclicity has been occurring for years now. And it's this cyclicity that makes it a reliable investment for me personally. I really enjoy trading this every 3 months. The last time we saw Litecoin rally was because of that catalyst that, it was a whole Litecoin halving catalyst. It was a catalyst for Litecoin price appreciation, but at the same time, after the halving, we haven't really seen much, and in fact, we've seen an extended period of consolidation within the blue zone, something that is going against the grain of history, so that's very important to bear in mind. Bargain hunters and whatnot have had an extended period of time to be able to accumulate within this accumulation zone. So before the halving, we saw that beautiful rally to the upside all the way here, and then we saw a bounce from the 200 weekly EMA for another relief rally before actually beginning that bear trend for Litecoin. And typically what we actually tend to see, comparing the Bitcoin halving and the Litecoin halving, after the Litecoin halving, Litecoin doesn't perform well. It actually tends to dwindle, it tends to consolidate, it doesn't really do much. It's not a good trade or an investment at all. But after a period of time, Litecoin tends to recover. And I'm just wondering whether this time is now. Because when we're considering Litecoin on the weekly, this is a weekly chart, remember, we're seeing a weekly candle close above the accumulation box, which is right over here. And now we're seeing a pullback. Litecoin is pulling back to test the top of this accumulation box as a new support, and if it does that, it's going to be able to springboard into higher price levels. So right now it's all about that weekly retest right over here. What we need to bear in mind though is have a look at these circles. Litecoin has always wicked into this accumulation zone. Of course, the context is different here because this is a sort of U-shaped reversal. A U-shaped reversal. This one was, of course, more volatile than this one. This was more of a gradual U-shaped reversal. This appears to be more of a V-shaped reversal. So that's more of a volatile reversal right over here. And of course, this was just a full-on accumulation period for Litecoin. So a different type of reversal altogether, but if we just have a look at these 3 data points, volatile, more gradual in its accumulation, but still volatile every time it enters this accumulation zone. And on this occasion right over here, you see an extended period of consolidation within a sort of bullish structure. This looks like a falling channel if you try to visualize it that way. But overall, you have to think of it as an extended period of consolidation within this zone right over here. So every time Litecoin has dipped in here, think of this sort of downward wick as a syringe. It's like a syringe because it's injecting itself into the pool of liquidity, searching out buyers, and then it sucks up all those buyers within this syringe so to just leave the needle and then see price appreciate to the upside. And we've seen this over here as well. We see these wicks tapping into that pool of liquidity and sucking up the buyers propel price into motion to the upside. But we didn't see that here, right? We saw an extended period of consolidation. We're not seeing that we're not seeing that pool of liquidity being that strong as before. But it still propelled price to the upside simply because this is a zone where people are demanding Litecoin. It's a demand zone for Litecoin, and that's propelled price to the upside. And we're trying to exit this accumulation zone officially with a weekly retest. But make no mistake about it, we've seen a dip back into the accumulation zone once again. So even though this is a demand zone which has changing characteristics over time, we still need to bear in mind that demand can come in phases. So this is the first phase of demand. And if we see wicking down into around this region, all the way to 0.65 even, if we see wicking all the way to that level, that's the second layer of demand. That's where people are like, wow, I was actually thinking of buying Litecoin, but I didn't for some reason. I don't know, because work, because money, because whatever. I had to do this, I have to do that. And then people start to, FOMO. That's the second layer of demand, because they were thinking about buying, but they didn't. So the bargain hunters are the first layer of demand, and the second layer are the people who were thinking about it, or at least where this price level actually triggers them in some psychological way that really motivates them to enter a position. So this is something I'm going to be looking for: a successful technical retest and a flip of this accumulation box into a new support, turning the top of this accumulation box into a support with some wicking. You have to allow for some wicking, because this is what history has shown us in different contexts, but I'm sure that we might see some wicking regardless. But what's also interesting, so far we've been looking at the weekly. Let's have a look at the daily. And all I'm going to say here really is this is the 200 daily EMA, the 200 daily exponential moving average, which is an important long-term gauge for investor sentiment. And what we're seeing at the moment is not only a retest on the weekly like we were talking about, but we're also seeing a confluence of the 200 EMA with the top of this accumulation box. So that's quite a lot of confluence that I like to see in the charts. And we need to bear in mind that every time we've seen a successful retest, because this wasn't a successful retest, not at all, not really, but every time we've seen a successful retest of the 200 EMA, then we've seen nice price action to the upside. Of course, we didn't get that successful retest right over here. We just saw a breach to the upside, and here's the same thing as well. So, yesterday in the Ethereum video, I was talking about how Ethereum BTC breaks past its 200 EMA and always pulls back to test it as a new support. Right over here with Litecoin, that hasn't really been the case, so it is quite scary. It is scary for those people who are more likely to FOMO and feel that emotion. Of course, different personality traits contribute to different sensitivities when it comes to emotions like stress and FOMO. So for FOMOers who are sensitive to that emotion, Litecoin BTC breaking past the 200 daily EMA is a nightmare, because they're going to see a lot of exponential price action followed by some consolidation, of course, but they're going to have a nightmare because it's just going to be, it's going to be FOMO central. It's going to be FOMO central. People are going to just FOMO and get very emotional about Litecoin BTC during that time, and they're going to probably make a lot of money. The bull market reinforces bad habits. The bear market punishes bad habits. The bull market rewards them. So, FOMOing in isn't a good idea, generally speaking, but loads of people are going to FOMO in this bull market. And a lot of the time, they're actually going to do very well with that strategy, but it's not an ideal strategy. I hope you guys understand. In any case, this is the 200 EMA, the top of the accumulation box. Really interesting for Litecoin. Litecoin is on the verge of confirming its new market cycle, because after all, it is cyclical. It cycles from here to here, from fear to greed, fear to greed once again. So it is a cyclical coin. That market psychology recurs. It's a recurring theme in the DNA of Litecoin's price action. And every time Litecoin has been able to revisit the accumulation zone over here and confirm an exit, because right over here, this is a confirmed weekly close, and this is a confirmed weekly close above the accumulation box. Every time it's confirmed an exit, it has rallied to the upside. So it is on the verge of a new cycle. And the significance behind Litecoin is that it tends to lead altcoins. We have to bear in mind how money flows in crypto. First, it's Bitcoin, which rallies, and then once it has that period of consolidation, large cap altcoins start to rally like Ethereum and Litecoin. And then once those start to consolidate or even pull back, then it's the mid cap altcoins. So you see this trickling of money from the largest cap altcoins into the smallest. So one of the other reasons why I like Litecoin BTC so much to trade it every now and then is that it's a leading indicator. The last time we saw this rally because of the halving, it led the entire market pretty much. It was really cool to see because Ethereum is usually regarded as the leading indicator for a lot of alts. But actually, a lot of the time it's Litecoin BTC and Litecoin itself. So something to bear in mind. I'm very excited about Litecoin over here. It's on the verge, on the cusp of confirming a new market cycle. And once it confirms that market cycle, I'm sure that a lot of altcoins are going to benefit from that indeed. Now, before we wrap up, one last thing about Google altcoin trends, something that I spoke about in June of 2019, that essentially altcoins were at a red resistance right over here, and whenever we see a break past that red resistance on Google Trends for the word altcoin, we tend to see a strong rally to the upside. And the rally here means essentially interest, right? If people are searching altcoin in Google, that's a very good indicator of how interest is accumulating and compounding when it comes to crypto and altcoins. So it's really cool to see that every time we've seen a break past this sort of psychological level, the red level right over here, we've seen rallies to the upside. In terms of interest towards the word altcoin. And of course, this translates into the prices of altcoins themselves. So in June, we were at that resistance. And since then, of course, we didn't break that resistance. But this resistance is still one to bear in mind. And I didn't draw it here, but I will draw it for Twitter. I forgot about that actually. But here's how Google Trends look for the word altcoin today. Of course, we didn't break past that resistance. I've just outlined the resistance right over here. This is the June data point. So we got that rejection from that resistance. And ever since then, we've just seen dwindling interest in altcoins. Only recently, a small resurgence. But guys, you have to just bear in mind, this is a very small resurgence, and it's the beginning of a resurgence. That's how early we are when it comes to the altcoin market cycle. So my point is that we're not even close to that resistance, let alone the peak and the euphoria of the altcoin market cycle. So super early on. That's all I can emphasize. Altcoins have a long way to go before even reaching that psychological point of resistance when it comes to interest. And that's all I'm going to leave you guys with. If you liked this video, please leave a like, and of course subscribe for more videos like this. If you've really enjoyed this video, I'm going to be more than happy to be pumping out this content for you guys, as long as you guys find value in it. So please leave a like to show your appreciation, subscribe for more videos like this, and of course reserve your spot to the Bitcoin halving webinar this Thursday, February 6th, 7 p.m. UTC. I'm Rex Capital, and I'll speak to you soon.